In the next presentation, we will explore altogether how business can respond to the growing global demand for humanitarian aid. And that through a handcrafted dove-shaped toys made from upcycled factory offcuts of refugee blankets from tarpaulins, as you can see here. According to NRS International, these doves are intended to be a token of hope and peace for anyone wishing to spread that message. So I might agree with our next speaker and say that the peace dove is more than just a dove. That's her motto. Please help me welcome Wieke de Vries, Senior Marketing and Communications Manager at NRS International.
Thank you very much for a kind introduction. Let me build on the tradition of a personal introduction. I was raised by my dad. My parents divorced when I was young, and that was unusual at the time, and he was a major football fan. And he always dragged me along to stadiums, and I loved it. And I realized there are no women here. And I was 15 when I decided this is where I want to be. And I wiggled my way in, and I worked in professional football as a press officer for about 10 years. But as a result, I never finished my master's degree. And now I'm here working for a humanitarian supplier, and at the same time, I'm a student. I am studying global governance and sustainable development. So this entire conference for me is a masterclass, and I thank you that I'm also at the same time able to present something that's very close to our heart. Maybe we can start the presentation. Oh, I've got a clicker actually already. Let me see if this works. Hopefully, technology is not failing me. Oh, there it is. I have a story to tell. I have a story to tell about a dove, the universal symbol of peace. And I will explain in the coming 15 minutes why this is more than just a dove. We're gathered here in Cairo to discuss business for peace, and that is exactly and explicitly what we did. We used our business capacity to address peace issues. Before I will show a video of the project, I will guide you through the context and the background, because I think it's important to understand where we're coming from as a private sector company. I work for NRS International, and NRS International is a supplier to the humanitarian sector. We produce tents, blankets, and all other sorts of core relief items used by refugees. We also do long-lasting insecticidal nets. We're based in Dubai, but we have a big factory in Pakistan where we employ roughly 5,000 people, which means that we're a significant employer in that Punjab region. Now, we've established here today that the private sector can significantly invest in, contribute to, and partner for peace. But if we think about the private sector in this context, we often think about large corporations, consumer-facing, multinationals with a lot of power and money, who are able to use their core business expertise to solve issues or to come up with issues to humanitarian problems. However, we are a different kettle of fish because we are part of this exact same supply chain. And that, according to us, gives us an additional responsibility. We're not alone, by the way. If you look at the statistics behind me, roughly $27 billion are spent on an annual basis on humanitarian assistance. And the UN itself procures goods and services for roughly 17 billion. So that is a significant market. So if we are part of a supply chain that is too important to fill, how do we go about sustainability and responsible business? Our vision is that if we look at the supply chain, not only the woman who receives a shelter from us benefits from it, as well as the woman who produced it, acknowledging that Pakistan is a country that ranks second last on the Gender Equality Index, with only 25% of women making it to the workforce. And to us, this is an unacceptable statistic. I will show you a very short clip of what sustainability therefore means to us. There was a nice echo there. But the core of this is that a lot of products that we produce are made from plastic. That is by definition, that's by design, because those are the products that are required. So how do we then go about sustainability and responsible business? Today I've heard that there needs to be an interest, and we do have an interest. So we moved away from looking at our bottom line and now apply the triple bottom line approach, where we look at impact and activities on social, economic, and environmental aspects. We've also used the Sustainable Development Goals to guide us. These help us shape our corporate agenda, and for this particular project, we've looked at 3 of them. First being gender equality, second being SDG 12, responsible production and consumption, and of course, the last one, peace and justice and strong institutions. There we go, a little bit of a tongue twister. Allow me to focus a little bit on the SDG number 12, because sustainability is a journey, and for us as a manufacturer, it certainly is. And when we started working on this, we realized half of the targets under SDG 12 exactly apply to our business model, including the reduction, recycling, and reuse of waste. And that is what led to the partnership. If you now look at the definition of sustainable development, there are 2 other elements to it, which are partnership and peace. And those were the missing ingredients for our partnership. I'll go back to 2016, during the World Humanitarian Summit in Istanbul. Some of you might have been there. We met with the brilliant people of Empathy Action. Those were the ones who created the event gift. It was made from an artillery shell from Cambodia and turned into a gift. Empathy Action is all about the notion that if you want people to spur and to action, there needs to be empathy and understanding. So we wanted to stitch together the message, and we wanted to partner for peace. Then you look at synergies. Where are your core values? Where do you overlap? And what are the strategic objectives that you want to reach? For Empathy Action, they're really good at crafts and arts, and they create gifts that give twice. Whereas us, we were struggling with the sustainability, and what do we do with our waste? And that's how we decided to come up with the Peace Stuff project. So in essence, it's an awareness campaign, and it conveys the messages that are close to our hearts. So circular economy, women empowerment, sustainability, ignition towards empathy, etc. I've done a lot of talking, and I think it's now time that I'll show you the project video.
अमन का असल मीनिंग जो है वो तो इत्तेफाक और प्यार से रहने को ही कहते हैं, सुकून से, एहसास दूसरे इंसानों का हो।
मेरे ख्याल से अमन इस तरह कायम हो सकता है कि जो जिन्हें हमें हमारी मदद की ज़रूरत है, हमें उनको मदद करनी चाहिए, इससे अमन कायम होगा।
In this beautiful project, what we do is we upcycle waste material from our production, for example, from tarpaulins or from blankets normally used by refugees, and we make it into a powerful tool which allows us to promote the Business for Peace concept.
ये
using waste products to make something that can turn into a message of peace, it just really brings people to life.
बहुत मज़ा आ रहा है, बहुत कुछ हमें सीखने के लिए मिल रहा है और नई नई चीज़ें सीख रहे हैं हम लोग।
आज हमारा सेकंड डे है तो हम इंशाल्लाह बहुत सारी डाव बनाएंगे और आप लोगों को मैसेज करेंगे। आप लोगों के लिए ये गिफ्ट है और हमें भी खुशी होगी, हम अच्छा फील करेंगे कि आपके लिए हमारे हाथों का बना हुआ गिफ्ट जो है आपकी तरफ जाए।
The idea that they're making a gift with their hands for people around the world, that this is going to go to weddings and school children and companies where people are going to continue and move on and pass on this message of peace through these gifts that they're making.
As a manufacturer, we cannot manufacture peace. However, we can make peace with our environment.
It's more than just a dove. Thank you very much. When we launched this project, this was not the only tool we used, the video. We launched it on World Peace Day on the 21st of September, and we used a pursuit of various channels to communicate the message. We created a dedicated micro website. We used our full social media force to push the message, as well as we basically went on a guerrilla campaign. We knew that this is not hard news. This is not something that any TV station will just pick up. So we just stepped in our cars, knocked on our doors, on radio stations, newspapers, etc., and that generated quite a bit of coverage, so that was interesting. Also what we did, we went to International Humanitarian City and we met with our key clients, UNHCR, ICRC, UNICEF, World Food Programme, and this allowed us to discuss sustainability. So here are some figures of the results. We reached over 300,000 people, and obviously we worked across different countries and continents, so we faced some challenges here and there. If you look at what are the lessons that we've learned, that partnerships take time and dedication. We started this back in 2016, and it was a lot of back and forth, finding the right momentum, finding the marriage between your values and your strategic objectives. I think that is very important. If you work cross-continent, it's always challenging. There was a lot of traveling. How did we get the doves into Bangladesh, for example? Custom clearance was very complex. An unexpected outcome was employee engagement. You've seen the proud faces of the women in Pakistan, but we also did an internal campaign where we left a dove on each of our colleagues' keyboards in the morning, and they've taken them to their friends and family and shared the message of peace as well. The personal approach has been very effective, and it created legacy. So we continue to build on this project, and we've also come up with a project where we use the waste of our tents and turn it into bags. I have one with me. If you're interested, I'm happy to show it to you. One final thought that I want to share with you is one of the objectives of the conference in the coming 2 days was that to move beyond the anecdotal. This might seem very anecdotal, but for us it is of significant strategic importance because it does allow us to open that conversation on sustainability, on corporate social responsibility, and what can we do as a manufacturer, knowing our limits, what is within our circle of influence, and how can we work together to come up with better solutions and more peaceful societies. Thank you.